this is B2B is not set it and forget it, right? Or
Yeah.
any system. And in so many ways, that's how companies think about B2B commerce. It's just like, oh, I implement it and you're done. I'm like, no, that's just the start.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of B2B e-commerce Accelerated.
We have with us Paul de Forno. Well, big welcome to you, Paul, Managing Director Commerce at Deloitte. So thanks for joining us today. So can you tell a little bit what you currently do in your current role?
I'm part of the leadership of the commerce practice here in the US. Deloitte Digital is one of the largest commerce digital agencies in the world. We're partners with many of the largest platforms, and we do everything. We have studios around the world. We do everything from strategy, design, to build and then operate commerce, both B2B and B2C, and everything kind of around it. First of all, I run our marketing and eminence, and so I'm out here. I'm talking on podcasts and presenting at a lot of conferences. But typically, my passion, especially over the last 6 to 7 years, have been about driving B2B commerce. We really see that as the largest growth engine for the foreseeable future, because what we've seen is a lot of B2B commerce, a lot of these B2B companies are been late to the digital and investing there, and been industrial companies that have waited. And so really, this is our biggest growth area, and we're really excited to continue to help get the word out there of there's so many opportunities. You got to get out there and do it.
What is causing this kind of delay, if you like? What is causing those companies to be, is it hesitance? What is it?
I think they're from highly technical media, digital, B2B companies are further ahead, whereas there's a massive growth a massive behind in industrial and chemicals and oil and gas. Those are the ones that are further behind. And what we see in a lot of these companies is that they've had people that have worked there for 20, 30 years and have done it the same way. All of these deals have been handshakes, and you have a lot of you'll never be able to do the same deals, right? So there's a lot of just getting over the change management. So the hardest part is really getting people to change the way they think about sales and how digital and B2B commerce can actually help them, right? And so we spend a lot of time not exactly about the technical, but from the business value that can transform where they're at today.
Is it also the leadership of those companies? Is it also embedded in the strategy to focus on those handshake deals?
Sometimes also it's there's also semantic challenges. Like people say, one of the things that I hear a lot of people talk about B2B commerce, they'll think, okay, commerce, they think of it just in one way. Well, nobody's just going to order from the website, right? Well, and I step back and I said, well, wait a minute. A lot of what I'm talking about now, when I talk about B2B commerce, I inject a term that we did when we started 20 years ago with B2C to help think of it. I now always say, actually, you should talk about it as omnichannel B2B commerce, because right away it forces people to think about all the different things. So not only think about the direct commerce, but what about marketplaces, third-party marketplaces, your own marketplaces, sales assisted, punch out procurements and how they fit in. And so once you start to break out all of those things, then people are like, oh, well, maybe we kind of have that, but we've not connected at all. And so there's a lot of education to one, break away the idea of just, oh, it's off in one channel and that's all it does. No, B2B commerce should be omni-channel, and you should think about how that all fits together and drives that change. And not only do we suggest that people should get credit for the commerce, you should have incentives. Right. That if you're a salesperson and you tell your people to get using the tool and they'll get extra incentives, they'll actually help you drive adoption. And so that's just one example in one type of role, right? That that is so critical to the success.
What's your take on the current state of adoption when it comes to B2B e-commerce? Can you say something about that?
There used to be this commercial at late night TV for, you're buying a roaster, and he used to say, you just put it in and you set it and forget it and it'll roast. Right? And this is B2B is not set it and forget it, right? Or any system. And in so many ways, that's how companies think about B2B commerce. It's just like, oh, I implemented and you're done. I'm like, no, that's just the start. And so a bunch of different topics, and I'll just kind of hit like some important things. First of all,
yes,
as part of the org change management is changing the roles of your sales leadership to have the responsibility that drives that adoption, right? So it has to be formally. If people aren't incented, they won't do it, especially sales guys. What do you think? There are sales guys in their name, right?
Yes.
So, training them, putting it in their incentives, and then, checking in, right? So that's one. Other things that as part of adoption, obviously from the sales perspective, I think also we end up doing a lot around marketing campaigns, right? And more digitally marketing. And so you get a wealth of data that comes out. And this is like of all the benefit of why you do B2B commerce is because you also get data. So for example, if all of a sudden some of your products are being hit and it's a certain customer and they never bought that product before, guess what? That's an insight. And it would be interesting if nobody's looking at the data or has dashboards or have triggers to let your regional salesperson that covers that client, you should, right? And those are, it's not just about, the order, it's about all those other insights that you're getting that then can help, drive that wheel of, selling. So having all of those tools, ongoing, like looking over the sales and those dashboards is just as important as kind of rolling out. And again, as far as the sales leadership, they should have that then as just part of the normal course of business, that their sales teams are looking at this data and actioning it.
Do you also see buyers struggling with making that business case, really making those desired results tangible and building that case?
One of the most interesting tip, and you guys can use this because this has just happened in the last year or so. It's come up quite a bit. Mm-hmm. So as you can imagine, building in a B2B commerce and some, especially industrial companies, they're used to running with their ERP, right? And ERP is predominantly everything. They really haven't thought about, and I like to talk about B2B commerce plus the front office, right? All things the front office. And, we do a lot of work with some of the largest ERP vendors. I think we're the largest implementer for SAP and Oracle in the world. And so if you think about it, we've now, in the last couple times of projects, we've been brought in to help the business case, not only to do B2B commerce, but to also help with the value case to do the upgrade to S4. Who would have thought that? Like before, a couple years ago, you're like, come back, we're doing the ERP upgrade. Well, actually, you can now say, hey, we can help you with your business case to help not only drive new business, but we'll help pay for your back office. Like that's a big insight that we've learned. And the specific areas that we've been able to determine are things around, one, cost to serve reduction. While that's been, there's some opportunity there, that's been relatively small comparatively, but the big opportunity is the incremental revenue that they leave on the table, right? Via enabling marketplaces, enabling, being able to sell, much easier into other segments that they weren't doing. And so that's helped drive the actual business case to pay for the back office. So that's a cool.
Love it.
we hear that all the time, and the funny part is, and I'm sure you guys can appreciate, is how how important the back end guys are in
Yes,
SAP, right? And
absolutely.
but magically, I've become their best friend.
No, that's really interesting. Yeah.